Here to discuss are two experts in the field of intelligence, CNN counterterrorism analyst and former CIA agent Philip Mudd, and counterterrorism expert and senior fellow for the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, David Gartenstein-Ross. First, please educate us, Mr. Mudd. What are digital fingerprints?
Look, if you look at a physical room, for example, if you go into a hotel room where there's been a murder, you're looking for fingerprints, DNA. Think of this in the digital world. You're looking for things like, are people using the same passwords that you've seen them use in the past? What kind of code are they using? What kind of language even are they using when you see the hack? We've also seen reporting in the past few weeks that the people involved in looking at this hack saw some of it real time. In other words, they didn't just gather fingerprints, digital fingerprints after the event. They were watching Russian entities or people hired by the Russians during the event. So I think this combination of factors, passwords, language, code, allow them to go back and say, we've seen this before, this is the Russians.
Quick follow, Phil Mudd. Sean Spicer, incoming press secretary, says it's not final yet. They don't really know. We don't understand why you media want to jump to conclusions. Do you know anybody in that community, Philip Mudd, who questions whether or not Russia was involved?
What the hell is that dude talking about? I don't understand this. His boss has come out and already drawn conclusions and said, I don't believe them. Meanwhile, on the other side, Republicans and Democrats in Congress and the intelligence community have come out and said, we, with high confidence, say that the Russians hacked information related to the elections. I agree with the judgment that it's not clear why they did this or that this had anything to do with swaying the election. But to say either from the Trump camp or from the government camp that we don't know what happened and we're going to wait for the report, do we ignore history here? I don't get it, Chris. This is ridiculous.
David Gartenstein-Ross, when you look at how the intel community has concluded, and obviously they're always a little cryptic about what they find. They don't want to give up their sources and their methods because that's a great informational gift to whomever they're investigating. But does anything about this situation seem unusual to you from the intel side?
No, not from the intel side. You of course, have two different things going on here, one of which is that digital forensic analysis is an imperfect science. That is, you could have false flags that are built into code, for example, and these are things that the Trump team is pointing to when they talk about why they doubt the intelligence community's conclusions. But that being said, that's just part of the medium. It's difficult to have absolute certainty in the digital sphere, and this kind of optic of having the incoming president-elect disagreeing with the intelligence community is very dangerous when it comes to decisions that have to be made extraordinarily quickly. The second thing that's going on is that you have distrust of the intelligence community from key members of the Trump team. For example, Mike Flynn, when he was the director of DIA, he was forced out for a variety of reasons, but one of them was that he disagreed with other members of the intelligence community and IC consensus on certain issues, including al-Qaeda's comeback. So you have some distrust and a belief that intelligence has been politicized under the Obama administration. But in terms of internal processes, there's no red flags for me.
Have you heard from anyone that they believe that Russia was not involved with the hacks of the DNC emails?
No, I haven't, though what I've heard from some is the view that, A, the finger was pointed at Russia very quickly, and B, that digital forensic analysis is imperfect. But that being said, the vast majority think that the evidence, though not conclusive, because it's hard to get conclusive evidence in this sphere, is very strong that Russia was involved.
You know, former CIA Director James Woolsey, you've been on with him before, Phil Mudd, on this show, and he now says, well, look, I think the Russians were in there, but it doesn't mean other people weren't too, and I think that part of the answer as to why Trump is casting doubt over this might be that he likes to play with the media. What's your take on that?
I think this is simpler than that. I think my 8-year-old nephew could figure this out. Look, this is an inconvenient truth. We have a president-elect who said our relationship with Russia isn't working. We need to put that relationship on a different plane. We had President Putin respond to this. Remember, just a week ago, he declined to deport American diplomats after President Obama ordered Russian diplomats out of the United States. So there's a game going on even before the president-elect becomes president about improving relations with Russia. And meanwhile, from left field, you have the intelligence community with a lot of degree of confidence saying that they hacked. So I think he just wants to cut loose from the intelligence community and move forward with the Russians.
Phil Mudd, David Gartenstein-Ross, thank you very much for your perspective. Alice.